Alrighty, I've been eventing, so I've not had time to be doing videos. Been playing Blitz, not talking about Blitz. That makes sense. The subject of today's video is the BDR, and I have quite some history with this tank. I've aced it, got 201 games, put down 70-odd%, thought, well, I didn't get better than that. Just sort of left it like a sort of shelf queen in the garage, and oh, look at my stats. But anyhow, lad in our clan said, look, you should give the BDR a go, because actually it's probably the strongest tier for tier in tier 5 now. And I do remember when I played it before, it used to get penned through the little knobby bit on the turret, which is right pain in the arse. And it was strong, you had to wiggle backwards and forwards, this, that and the other. But what it did get was an armor buff, and that seemed to have fixed that weak spot, by the way. That's the Thunder with a live player playing it, so I'm going to basically target him because he's the best player on their team. And that's what happens, buddy, when you drop some tiers and you come down here and play with us noobs. That's what we do to you when you do that. I God knows how much you paid to get to level 35 that quick, but whatever, I digress. So the whole point is that the BDR is now extremely tough. The other thing is it's got, for tier 5, a really nasty gun, and the armor profile is that good on it now that when it's up tiered, which is why I'm deliberately showing a tier 6 game to start with, it really is hard as nails still. And yeah, you get penned by things like the Thunder, but I've bounced KV1S's in this, KV2s, all sorts of stuff. Watch this. Yeah, but yeah, when it gets up tiered, it's considerably better than the other heavy tanks in its tier. So for example, T1 Heavy is bloody strong in tier 5, but when it ends up in tier 6, you start noticing problems with the pen on the gun. A lot of stuff goes through it, and when you're smacking stuff, you're not smacking it right hard. Whereas with the BDR, you're knocking out 260, 270 alpha on a good roll, 250 there, and it makes stuff sit up and take notice a little bit more. You get pushed less, so it's much better when it's up tiered, and I get up tiered a lot. So ultimately, it's a better sort of all-round vehicle. There are some limitations with the tank when you compare it to the T1 Heavy, which I think is probably the next best in class. The T1 Heavy is quicker, it gets to places better, quicker, faster, smoother. It rams like an absolute boss. This doesn't. The reason for that is the momentum on the tank isn't great because it's slow as hell. So you got some disadvantages. Sorry, I had to break the video off there because various things are happening in my house and it's Corona time. So effectively there are some less good things about it than the T1 Heavy and other things, but it's still bloody great. The other thing to bear in mind is the gun is a tier 5 gun, so it's not that accurate. So the usual rules apply. Make sure the radical goes down, and because it's got quite a slow reload, I recommend to do that, because otherwise you're doing yourself out of damage, and you're not making your shots stick, and you're not doing yourself or the team a favour, because 240 odd damage, especially at tier 5, it is a lot. So make the shots stick, take your time. The gun depression on the tank is also not amazing, so ideally keep it on the flat and you'd be just apples. So there you go, that's a tier 6 game. I wanted to put it on. I also wanted to put it on a good old-fashioned honest game where I get shot in the arse by an SU-100 at the end, having run the course of the battle. The rest of the team will now go and finish up. KV1S is clearly given a no shits given approach to the SU-85. Job done. So that's what it can do at tier 6, and you can see actually from the results at the end. I'm doing this consistently in the tank at tier 6. It's second on damage, and yet it's lower tier in the game. So it really can be an asset, and it was a right joy to take that live player out with a nice HE round through the turret. That made me chuckle my arse off. Anyway, so that's that. The second game I'm going to show you is a tier 5/tier 4 game, and this is where you really are looking at something that is OP. So overall, would you say like that BDR's OP? Well, no, it's not if you're me, because I'm up tiered the whole time. So basically it enables me to hold my own at tier 6 when I get moved up. And chances are, if I'm doing 1400 damage a game, got a really good chance of winning. So overall, I think in the last 30 games I've got nearly a 77% win rate in and out of platoon in this tank. So it is bloody strong. When you get a game like this, you're literally just sat there going, right, well, this is you know, you've got a very good chance of winning this game if you know what you're doing. Now, just some words on the armour. The armour profile, don't get shot in the arse, obvious statement. Do not get shot in the side, because the sides, if you look at the tank, are very flat, so a lot will obviously pen you in the sides. So when you're crossing maps and fire corridors like I'm about to do now, either A, don't do it, or B, do it like literally as quick as you can and get the hell out of dodge. And then front the tank up, and it's not about put the gun over the front drive wheel, nothing like that. You need to front the tank up, like literally point the tank front on at the enemy, and you will get a truckload of bounces. Especially, I mean, tier 6 will bounce you. Tier 5, very few things can go through you. Stug can go. You got to look at things like Stugs, Wolverines, well-aimed shot from the KV1, those sorts of things will go through you. But effectively, most other things are not frontally going to go through this tank, which is great. So another thing I would say, particularly in platoon, if you're looking at the enemy team and you've got something like a Stug or a KV1 or Wolverine, anything that can pen the front of the tank, focus fire it and get it out, because things like, you know, Hetzers, Leos, most things, other than that, as long as you're playing the tank sensibly and pointing at the enemy, they're not penning you. So effectively, you get the big boppers out first. You've got a clear battlefield to do what you want in nearly, which is ridiculous when you come to think about it. Now, of course, there's the issue of premium ammunition, which is like that T-34 there. I would side on, but he's also spanking Pramo. So if you see a kiddie spanking Pramo at you, usually they run out actually because you bounce so many bit. But if you see a kiddie obviously smacking you with Pramo, get him gone first as well. So in this scenario, you can see the team's folded. I don't want anything particularly other than this T-34 taken out, because he is smacking me left, right and centre. So I'm going to do him first. And then you can see the bounces, and this is why I showed this game. I'm literally, you see what I'm doing, nothing clever, front on. I'm going to face hug this AT2, and the AT2, I know he's trying to do the best thing, bless him, but in fact he's blocking his team from having any shots on my hull, which is absolutely great for me. There's the Stug, so I'm going to target the Stug next, because I know that he can punch nasty holes. You can see I'm exactly front on, but he's gone through. Stug has got a nasty gun on it, you don't want them getting involved, so I'm going to angle a little bit to the Matilda, and all I've got to do is clear the Stug, and even then you can see I'll get a bounce off it. So there you go, 1.3k block, 2.1k damage, and that I think is the first in the tank, which shows you the player base in it at the moment. There must be some people doing some awfully big numbers. There's 6 kills and quite a big carry. But if you haven't reappraised this tank, get in one, because it's great fun and it's strong. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See ya.